Any coughs to get out before we get started here?
No, already got them out. Thank you.
Okay, so if there's any like muting of the mic, this one, it's just because Sarah's got cough-litis here today. So
you know what? Your concern for me is really overwhelming. It's
It is.
appreciated.
I got you some-
It's so
I got you some
heartfelt.
cough medicine.
Yeah, it's really heartfelt. I can
it's
tell.
like this,
So can
just
everybody
go
else.
this
So
way.
can everybody else.
Keep it from over there.
Yeah, no, it's appreciate it so
Okay.
much. Hello, everyone.
I'm really worried about you.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
He begged me to just leave him to do this
Yeah.
show by himself. This
Just do
is
it
the
from
way
your
it
house.
becomes a one-man show.
Yeah.
I'm Sara Rusanowsky. He's Jamie Thomas. This is the check-in, and we get you ready, as always, on every Winnipeg Jets game day for their game night tonight.
Oh, then and it is night.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It's almost morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending where you're watching. If you're Morgan Barron's father,
Yes.
it's going to be morning when you're watching it. It is a 9:30 Central start tonight because the Winnipeg Jets are in San Jose. The first game of back-to-back nights. They play tonight in San Jose, tomorrow in Anaheim. We appreciate so many people already in the chat already. We see some new faces, I think, as well, or new names. So welcome if you haven't been here before. I'd always love to know where you are watching from. Love to see lots of people in the chat. And if Phyllis is on there, Phyllis often says to us, remember, you have to tell people to smash that like button, like heart, whenever you are. Welcome to the show today.
Yeah. West Coast games are rough. It's another animal, that one for sure. So 9:30, as Sarah said, it will be special at the start of that one. So just go nap, get ready for
lots of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And realize the moms, the Jets moms and sisters are going to be on this trip. It's a special trip so far. We'll have some comments with regards to that coming up a little bit later, and a very special video from San Jose featuring the moms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love that they are doing a mom's trip. They did the dad's trip last year. We featured it in one of the runway episodes, but to be able to see the moms get some of the love. They were here for the game on Saturday. We saw a lot of them actually they'd made cutouts.
Yeah, of the boys.
And it was great to see from when they were young. So we had a great time trying to figure out who some of them were, enjoying some of the haircuts that some of them had back in the day.
Yeah.
Some bowl cuts here and there. Loved it, but it's great to be able to see the mums on this trip and being able to experience it with their sons. Because as great as you dads are,
yeah,
we all know
who runs the show. I remember
mums are pretty special.
So I remember growing up, I thought my dad ran the show probably because he yelled all the time. And I thought he was the voice of authority. And then after a while, I'm like, holy crap, my mom's been running this ship for a long time. And I had no idea until I was about 25.
Yeah.
Then I figured it out. And then you get married and you have kids and you're like, holy cow, they do. They run everything.
That is a separate show.
It's like a secret society to start. Then after a while, wow.
Secret society. So the Jets come into this game with a 22-9-1 record. Only team in the NHL right now to have 22 wins. They are 11-6 on the road. Those 11 wins tied for third most in the NHL. San Jose 6-7-1 at home. This is, of course, the second time that they have played each other. San Jose was here in town back in October. It was an 8-3 Winnipeg win, and they play again here in Winnipeg on February the 24th.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a slower start for the Jets in that game against the Sharks way back when. There was no Macklin Celebrini with the Sharks' only appearance in Winnipeg so far this year. Macklin Celebrini will be in the lineup tonight for the Sharks, just coming up a 3-point game. But I've been to San Jose so many times in games where you figure the Jets were going to have an easy time with the Sharks. That has never been the case. They always traditionally get goalied whenever they've gone down to San Jose or something happens. But I figure with the way the Jets have played and how they're getting a little more consistent with their game, should be a positive result. Should be. But remember, the Moms went 0-3 on the last Moms trip. So there's a lot of pressure on them right now, even though they have nothing to do with what happens on the ice.
So I was actually joking about that with Morgan Barron's parents before or after the game on Saturday. I ran into them in the hall, and there's so many of the moms that I feel as if I know because I've reached out to them so many times to ask for pictures of their sons.
The only place to go.
100%. So for home ice or for various features. So it's great to be able to meet some of them. But that was one of the things that comments that I made to Morgan's mom was I hear there's a little bit of pressure right now because there's some.
Because the dads are probably like rubbing it in a little
100.
bit.
That's apparently what's been happening.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
why don't we tell people what they have in store today? Who's going to join us?
Well, Dan Rusanowsky, the radio voice of the San Jose Sharks, will join us because we have a million questions all the time since we haven't seen the Sharks in quite some time. How is Macklin Celebrini faring? What is the end goal for the Sharks this year? Because they're doing what we're expecting them to do. They're hanging around the bottom part of the Western Conference. Like, what is the end game here? And is it heading in the right direction? As we've seen, and the Sharks are a great example of why it's difficult to make the decision to start all over again, because it doesn't happen overnight. Look at Ottawa, how long it's taken. San Jose is a great example of how long you have to be super patient as a fan to when they decide to do these types of things, because it has not been fun for the Sharks recently.
Yeah. What is our question of the day?
Well, I tell you what, we're going to lean on you guys a little bit. What are you looking to see tonight? What are you watching for if you're up? And if you are taping the game and looking to watch it tomorrow morning, what are you watching for? What are you hoping for when the Jets start this 2-game road trip against the Sharks? Hoping to keep everything in a positive direction for the Jets. As we know, the Central Division always competitive. It's always seems like you have to keep winning to stay on top of things, and the Jets will have to do that starting tonight in San Jose.
Yeah, Jets sitting on top of the Central Division right now, 1 point ahead of Minnesota. Minnesota does have a better points percentage. They have played one fewer game.
Play this Saturday here.
Yeah, that'll be a great one.
Oh my gosh.
Always looking forward to that one because we asked you we asked you before the Vegas game, fans out there. Is Vegas the biggest rival for the Jets? And everyone made it very clear that as much as they might dislike Vegas, it is Minnesota hands down. So this Saturday will be a great game here inside Canada Life Center, the last one at home before the holiday break.
JMK, very good point. Buffalo's had a never-ending rebuild. Are they still losing right now?
That's a whole separate.
See, because Buffalo's out in the Eastern Conference, you kind of feel bad for teams after a while.
Yes.
You feel bad for
for fan bases.
Yeah.
And Buffalo has a fantastic fan base.
Yeah, one of the best ones. I mean, look what's going on with the Buffalo Bills. They had to wait a long time for that to turn around. They're reaping the rewards of that patience, but you just don't that just takes such a long time, so hard to win. So I feel bad for the Buffalo Sabres fan base and that never-ending rebuild going on.
So one of the downfalls of the Pacific time zone, in addition to the very late starts on games, is that while 12:30 Central is a great time if the game's being played in a Central time zone for a show, because morning skates are done for both teams. It's great if it's an Eastern time zone. You can even get away with Mountain. Pacific time zone, though, unfortunately, with the Jets obviously always being on the road in the Pacific time zone, they have not taken to the ice yet. So all we can go off of is what happened at practice yesterday. David Gustafson still in concussion protocol, was out on the ice, but in concussion protocol. Nikolai Ehlers in a regular jersey. So we will wait to see whether or not we get any word before we get off at the air today. Also about if it's going to be Connor Hellebuck starting. We will wait for Mitchell Clinton's starting routine goaltender tweet that we all look forward to.
So whoever plays tonight will be watching the other goaltender tomorrow in Anaheim. But let's stay on track with the the San Jose Shark game as we go. Thank you, Matt. Looking from our chemistry. Here we go. This line: Chibrikov, Nemesnikov, and Propetikov.
I like the trademark.
Yeah.
At the end of it.
Yeah, nicely done, Matt. You are on the ball, my friend. So it looks like a lot of people will be watching the highlights tomorrow, but we do forgive you for the situation. It is a game in December, and we're all busy right now getting ready for the holidays.
We absolutely are. So practice yesterday, the Jets they traveled on Sunday.
Yeah.
They practiced yesterday. They also got to go out. They went out to a winery with the moms on part of it. But let's hear, I think we had something from Scott Arneal.
Yeah, it's three different little clip packs here.
Okay, little clip packs. Look at us.
So Scott Arneal was asked about the moms and if he could see any of the players' personalities coming from meeting the moms. And here is his answer, and then Adam Lowry and, of course, Cole Perfetti.
There actually are a few. I won't name anybody, but you can see it. There's a lot of the similarities there, and but it's a special time. These guys, obviously the dads were out last year, and now to have the sisters and moms, and it's a special time for them, and it's memories that not only for the players but also for the mothers there. It's special times.
This is pretty special to do. Something that is my mom put a lot into this, so now being able to kind of celebrate it comes full circle. It's pretty special to share this trip with her. We did the dad's trip last year, so that was kind of the first time doing that, and that was pretty special too. So really grateful that my mom's here. And
it's been a lot of fun. I think getting to see kind of where everyone's from and where they get their personality or things like that from, and kind of wrangling the moms together. Obviously they're having a great time, so growing up it was the other way around. They were kind of making sure we were on the bus or at places on time, and now it's kind of roles reversed. But
Like the roles reversed.
Exactly. How many times did your mom yell at you to get on someplace on time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
Probably
much.
still.
It is fun to watch the players herd their moms and stuff like that and get them all ready to
Because
go.
once everyone starts talking,
Yeah.
you sometimes lose track of time. But one of the great things with any time, whether it be a mentor's trip, dad's trip, mom's trip, that you're able to learn a little bit more, kind of as Scott O'Neill said, about the personalities of the players, where they might get it from. And so our crack social media team, led by Cameron Penny, has been talking to the moms. So here's a little something for you.
Just bear with me. It's like fantastic. Our social media crew is the best, and Cameron Penny is no different. Okay, here we go.
Who is your favorite player on the team that's not your son?
I have so many of them. Well, I'm going to have to go with Cole Perfetti because he is such a sweetheart and has stolen my niece Zoe's heart. And so I have to go with him.
So I'm going to say 54 Dylan Sandberg because he was such an amazing teammate and roommate for my son, Cole.
DeMello, Nino, Ellerbach, Dylan Sandberg.
They're all great guys. Adam Lowry, kids who played together for some time.
Eric Comrie, because I like the way he hugs the goalie, the other goalie, Hellebuck.
I had a pleasure of being on a mom's trip with him before. And as good a hockey player he is, he's even a better person is Nino Niederreiter.
Nino. He's a Swiss guy, nice player. Lucky. Love Eric because just like me right now, he takes forever to answer questions. So it goes on and on and on.
Mason Appleton, because I love his mom.
You stole my line because mine was going to be loud because his mom is amazing. We think alike. I guess we're pretty cool.
You were right. That's fantastic.
So lots of great stuff still to come from this trip with the mums. And also in the future, there will be a runway episode, which we're looking forward to as well. But we can't just talk about the mums because there is the game. There was practice yesterday for it. And the focus obviously needs to be on the ice.
Yeah, it does. And I think what has been important for the Jets is they close at the homestand with a big win over the Montreal Canadiens, but the fact they get a little bit of a break in between because they've been going every other day for, I can't even, it feels like forever. We're not traveling with them, so we don't really show up every other day to do the show, and it's exhausting. So I can't imagine for them. But it was a primary focus of the fact, and was asked how nice was it to have 2 days off between games.
Foreign day for us, I guess, having these a couple of days in between. Got to travel out here, obviously with the moms a little bit early to get settled, and I have a good practice today. So hopefully it makes us, because of the back-to-back, hopefully we're fresh for both games.
There's been a lot of strange things. It was like, being at home for a week was weird, having that homestand, and you're getting the 2 days. It's nice, waking up this morning and realizing you don't have to get ready for a game is, it's good. It's a bit of a mental reset. November and the start of December was obviously a grind, but to have a day off and then you come out and we were able to have a good practice day, I think it's huge. Sometimes the limited practice time and those days in between games, you're just trying to rest as much as possible. And
yeah, it was, like you said, great way to end the homestand there. Big win. Special teams was huge. A couple power play goals. PK was great. So that was big for us. Good step in the right direction. And our schedule's been tough, so we haven't had many 2-day breaks. So it was nice to get a full day off yesterday and then get a nice practice day in today and kind of get our feet going again. And
That's everybody from practice yesterday in San Jose. And Matt, you're right. What's with 17's hat? I couldn't take my eyes off the Cincinnati Bengals hat that Adam Lowry is wearing. So I don't know if he lost a bet or if he's actually a Cincinnati Bengals fan or if there's a fantasy football tie-in. I know one guy that's a Cincinnati Bengal fan.
But I feel like he might be.
There's got to be a reason behind it. So
we're going to have to find that out.
Yeah.
We will find out. We will report back.
Or else we'll get Cameron to find out.
That's right.
Us. Yeah.
One of the things that the players spoke about too with going against San Jose, and you mentioned, I mean, they've been goalied before by them. That this is a team that reminds them a lot of Montreal in terms of they're very good off the rush. One thing Adam Lowry said was that it's important to play a similar style to Montreal in terms of what we give up. Detail is something that was really stressed in terms of the sharpness that they need to play with in order to have success against this team.
Because, you know, that was a whole conversation about how the Jets had been breaking down giving up chances off the rush. I felt like they controlled Montreal, and Montreal has so much skill up front. There's no question about that. Another thing we didn't really get a chance to talk about because it's been so long is the kind of little quip from Patrick Laine about, you know, how Connor Hellebuck had the Patty flu the last two times that he had been in town with his respective teams. And he had 7 shots on goal that night on Saturday. It feels like forever ago now. And Hellebuck said afterwards, there's no flu tonight. So I think a lot of people took that, and it's all tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
It was a joke by Patrick Laine clearly, and I love how Connor Hellebuck went along with it but the save that he made on Laine in the second period with his blocker while falling down was something else, and then to just reach up and knock it down again, he's unreal. And you asked Josh Morris about playing in front of the best goalie in the world, and I think it was 500 to 600 games he was saying that Hellebuck was in net for that. That's unreal. So for him to be able to have a front row seat of that one, but clearly special. The goaltender that the Jets have, known as Connor Hellebuck.
Yes, absolutely. When looking for tonight's game, this is game 500 for Neil Pionk.
Okay.
Something we always make note of milestones for them. So game 500. Also, Jets 4-2-1 against Pacific Division teams, but they've lost their last 3. They've allowed 3 or more goals in 6 consecutive games. So just
I guess against the Pacific
Division.
Yeah.
So
Vegas plays a role in that too. So
100%.
Yeah.
But going back to that idea of details with it. So looking forward to seeing what they have in store for us tonight. There's a lot of young talent on this Sharks team. You mentioned a bit about the rebuilding and trying to get through. Young talent for the Jets in the future could be Kevin He, who signed an entry-level contract
Let me
today.
throw this fancy thing today. So more history for Kevin He. First off, he was the highest Chinese-born player drafted in the National Hockey League in the 4th round. Today, he signed his entry-level contract, so he's the first Chinese-born player to sign an NHL contract. And the exciting part about Kevin He is, you know, he was drafted in the 4th round, but is leading his team in scoring. He was named captain earlier in the season, which is very impressive, and has been. I think he's around 7th or 8th in goals scored in the Ontario Hockey League this year. So he's taken a big step. Kieran Walton, another great player from the Sudbury Wolves. He was a 7th round pick. He's leading his team in scoring. So the future looking bright for the Jets. But congratulations to Kevin He on signing your 3-year entry-level contract this year. Just a tremendous year so far. And what a whirlwind for him to be drafted, to be followed around by NHL cameras for the documentary that they had for the NHL draft in Vegas this year.
With you.
Yeah, the hot lap we did with me.
And he still signed a contract to
I
stay
know.
here. That's impressive.
He spent
At that
almost
point,
a week
we
with me in Penticton.
At that point, we thought, Kevin Cheveldayoff may be in tough to get him to sign, having done JT hot lap.
Is he going to be a part of this?
That's right.
And then, unfortunately, we have to keep Jamie Thomas around.
The testament to Kevin's character, personality,
is big.
Drive and desire.
That is one thing with Kevin He too. It's been really tough, not this season, but the previous 2 years in Niagara. They have not been one of the best teams in the Ontario Hockey. They've struggled, but he's kept the one thing that's been brought up about is his character. He stuck through it, didn't want to leave, and now is reaping the benefits of that and being patient with the rebuild with the Niagara Ice Dogs.
Yep, moved to Montreal from Beijing when he was 6, moved to Toronto when he was 12, and the dealings that we had with him at the prospect camp and talking with him, just another top-notch character guy he was delightful.
Well, now JMK looking forward to broadcasters going with the he. That's and he scores. Like we can go on forever with Kevin He's last name. So it's and yeah, so
there will be a lot of
and that's a good thing, right? So that's the fact that you'll be able to make these jokes because that means he's going to make it to the National Hockey League and make a name for himself here.
Yes. So looking forward to that. We're going to have Dan. Oh,
Dan's there, just as you say that.
Wow, look at that.
You know what? To be a play-by-play guy as long as he has, you have to have timing. And Dan Rusanowsky joins us now with perfect timing. Dan, thanks so much for joining us today. How are things going on in San Jose right now?
Well, it's actually really an exciting time because, the Sharks are coming together as a group. That's been fun to see. The wins aren't necessarily there yet, but there's a lot of upside for the future. I think the fans are excited about that. And what we're seeing also is something really nice going on inside the dressing room. We've got a group of guys that are very tight, exciting young rookies, but capable veterans. And it's just a nice mix right now, in spite of the fact that they haven't won as many games as they'd like.
How important is that, Dan, when you think about trying to bring those young players along, but be establishing that culture? Because for so many years, I mean, back in the day when you had the Thornton, Marlowe's, Pavelski, I mean, we know what that San Jose room was like and kind of the culture of the organization, but to make sure that it's established with the next generation.
Well, as anybody will tell you, we had 25-year-old guys that were 15 years old once, right? Now we've got a bunch of 15-year-old guys that we want to be 25 really quickly. I would say that right now you're looking at Macklin Celebrini, an up-and-coming star in the league. I think Will Smith is an underappreciated and underrated player in that department too. So that's our modern-day version of Thornton and Marlowe. And, the last time this happened 20 years ago, it was Marlowe who was the second overall pick because Joe was a member of the Boston Bruins. And we had Patrick Marleau, we had Brad Stewart, and we had Jonathan Cheechoo, and we had Scott Hannon. And so that's a good core group of guys. Well, this is happening again. And what's also happening again is that current general manager Mike Greer is surrounding those very talented young players with veteran players that show them good work habits, that have expectations of winning, that aren't scarred by the last 2 years. That's some of the new guys coming in. Somebody like Tyler Toffoli is a good example of that. And I think that they're going to show them the way. 20 years ago, we had Murray Craven and we had Ron Sutter and Ronnie Stern and Mike Vernon and Kelly Rudy and players like that were here to show these young guys around. And as we saw, all of them didn't stay here, and all of this group will not stay here either. The big trade was made for Joe Thornton. Mackenzie Blackwood, who's a guy that everybody loves in the dressing room, was just moved to Colorado. And they got back Nikolai Kovalenko, who has looked really, really solid on a line with Toffoli and with Macklin Celebrini in the middle these last couple of games. So I think that you get the sense that there's the definite plan in place, that it's definitely trending upward, and that, it's going to be like a stock market chart for a while, with some ups and some downs. And, even the top rated kids are going to have their ups and downs. I mean, we haven't even hit game 55 yet. We'll see what that's like. But I think that overall, the feeling is that this is a tight group that likes each other, that enjoys the commitment to working. They've got a good, solid young coach who understands what a winning attitude is about. And I think it's just really exciting around here.
You talked about the trade for Joe Thornton. You also alluded to the trade that was just made recently with Mackenzie Blackwood going to the Colorado Avalanche. Back comes over Alexander Georgiev, who has had his struggles this year. What sense do you have? Is this good for him to have this fresh start, Dan, and to put the past behind him after a tough year with Colorado this year?
I think there's a couple of things going on with that. I think that the fact was that Georgiev was available and around made it possible for the Blackwood deal to happen faster. The reason for that is because the Sharks goaltender of the future is in the American Hockey League. He's Yaroslav Askarov, and he's having a spectacular year right now. I think the big difference with him last season with Milwaukee and with Nashville as opposed to this year is, number one, there's not a goalie here in San Jose with an 8-year contract that's a number one goaltender. Number two, what's also happening is that when he gets reassigned to the AHL, as you all know in Winnipeg, you have a sense that people care about you a lot more when you just have to walk across the hall to the next locker room, and you have the general manager of the team coming to all your practices and watching you and giving you feedback, as opposed to being sort of displaced from you many miles away. It's one of the advantages of having the AHL club in your town. So I think that the thinking with Askarov is that he's going to be as good as he can be in the AHL this year. He'll get some games. He's already had a win in the National Hockey League with the Sharks this year. and he's going to get his skates wet, so to speak. But the other object is to get that team into the playoffs and get these young guys in the best-of-7 series against men. That's the other part of the fact that you have to build your organization. And so that's that side of it. Now, the guys that are here, Georgiev was starting to play a lot better when the trade happened. He had a very slow start by his own admission to the season. But if you look at the last couple of years, he was among the most winning goaltenders in the NHL the last 2 seasons. I know he's playing for good teams, but you have to stop the puck too. And he was just starting to get his game together, he felt. And he comes to an organization where the general manager knows him quite well, because Mike Greer was in the Rangers organization back when Georgiev was over there. He also was in the same boat with Vitek Vanacek, who was in New Jersey when Mike was with that organization. So I think he's got their back. They understand where they're at. They both are very motivated to play, because at the end of the year, they obviously have the freedom to go where they want. And it gives the Sharks another option at the trade deadline too, that, if these guys are both going pretty well, and they have been giving the Sharks a chance to win, even before with Blackwood, but now with these two guys, as long as that happens and as long as they're in the conversation, I think that you might see a team might need an extra goaltender, need some depth. Maybe you get something for one of these guys if they're not going to re-sign with you. But at least it gives the Sharks a lot more options, and they have 2 solid NHL-level goaltenders to allow Askarov to continue to develop in the American Hockey League at a better pace.
Dan, you made the comparison to a stock market in terms of ups and downs and what you'll see from the Sharks throughout this season as they continue to grow. So what would be considered a success, a best case scenario for the Sharks this season?
Well, in my opinion, I think that for both Will Smith and for Macklin Celebrini to play 70 games and to be a big part of the contribution, I think that's part of it for their development. The other part of it is to continue to be in the playoff conversation, and that to extend that as long as is possible, to continue to be a very hard team to play against, and to be in that talk, because if that happens, the team is going to make a lot more progress. They're going to gain confidence. There are going to be a lot more good things happening with the team. Now, could a miracle happen? I mean, we saw it happen in 1993. The Sharks had an 11-win season. The next season, they somehow found a way to crawl their way into the last playoff spot, and they beat Detroit in the first round. And basically, that sealed the franchise in San Jose, because it was the first year of the building that's now called SAP Center. And so it really got the local population totally involved in the game and in the team. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's not likely, but you never know. And so that way, if you're in that conversation for as long as you possibly can, you're going to maximize that development. But plus, if you don't make it, you're going to get a good draft pick, and you're going to be part of, maybe moving up in the lottery either way. So I think that that's the positive way of looking at it.
Dan, appreciate the time. Enjoy the game tonight, and look forward to talking to you real soon.
Looking forward to that. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Sarah.
Great to see you.
It's Dan Rusanowsky joining us in the Hall of Fame, by the way, Hall of Fame broadcaster.
I love listening to him. But some of the comments as I was scrolling through here in the chat as well, talking a lot of people comments saying Dan has that classic radio voice, but a lot saying how much they enjoy listening to him as well. One of the reasons that if you are going to watch Sharks games or listen to them, that he's a big reason why.
Been around a long time. You've seen a lot. I love the name, talking about the great players that have played in San Jose. That was one of the funnest dressing rooms to go into. When I was working for Sportsnet, to roll in with Joe Thornton, it was the best. Like Patrick Marleau, a little quieter guy.
He was. So when I was with the Score, I remember going down to do, I don't remember why, if it was a playoff run or what, and I needed to do a Patrick Marleau story. That was what the feature was going to be on. But as you mentioned, very quiet.
Yes.
Wasn't one that sought out cameras, wasn't always easy. And so I did a feature on him without ever speaking to him once, and just getting teammates on him, because he proved to be quite elusive in that room.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing better than those features where you do a feature on somebody that does not feature in the feature, and you have everybody else talking about them. So, but
at the time, especially being very young and new, and I thought, this is awful. I'm not able to get him. I'm not going to be able to fulfill this assignment. So, finding different ways to get it done.
I remember totally unrelated sport, but going on during training camp in the National Football League, the sports they wanted me to do a feature on Johnny Manziel the year he was drafted. I'm like, well, we just don't make guys available. I'm like, I'm there on a Tuesday. He might not talk. And I got down there so mad that I didn't get to talk to him. Like, but I can't just tell him, hey, on that note, Ben Roethlisberger, we went to Steelers camp and he was elusive. That I just walked up to him. I said, "Hey, we're from Canada. Can you please do a quick conversation with us?" And he was good with it because it's training camp. Everybody's in a good mood at training camp. But those are the types of things that you work with. So I totally understand where you come from. Where the subject is not available and you have to make.
You have to make do. You got to figure it out.
That's what great journalists do. So.
You know what? You make lemonade out of lemons.
Yep.
Here we go. As we get ready to wrap things up tonight, I haven't had the opportunity to see it. I'm taking a quick look to see if we have any updates out of San Jose right now. But one of the things that we talked about last game actually was your feature with your ground control newest episode out with Eric Comrie. It's doing really well. You have a different clip.
Yes.
From him.
Yeah, because last time we talked about Eric, who calls you Eric, and came down to not many except for when his mom's mad or his wife's mad. That's when they call him Eric. So this is basically the question was to Eric, do you fanboy anymore? And he was so great about this answer. And so what point in your NHL career did you stop fanboying? Anybody?
I still fanboy Connor Hellebuck, so I don't know if I did.
You just sit there and go,
oh, yeah. I go, wow, how are you so good? Yeah.
Anyway, see, it was one of the funniest times I've had. I had a great time with Gabe Velarde too. Hold on a second, get rid of something here, but he's just so funny. Like anything you ask him, he's just so great. So Adam, our boss, is telling me today that we should just do a podcast with him every month.
All right, he's on my list for home ice.
Yeah, I'm glad.
He would be fantastic. Speaking of Connor Hellebuck, Mitchell Clinton, analyst for CJOB, optional morning skate for the Jets. But you know what isn't optional? The Connor Hellebuck starting routine. Looks like he starts the front half of the back-to-back tonight.
Yeah, perfect for Eric Comrie to go tomorrow against Anaheim. So there you go. We'll find out a little, keep an eye on the game tonight at 9:30 puck drop. Well, 9:35 puck drop-ish.
All right.
It should be a lot of fun to start out this road trip, and hopefully the Jets players get one for the mums.
Absolutely, and the sisters, which you'd mentioned there are a few. So I was asking about which sisters were on the trip instead. So Rasmus Kupari's sister, Nikolai Ehlers, Connor Hellebuck, and
Nick's mom went 3 years ago,
and David Gustafson's sister as well. So pretty great that there's that mix too, and I know how close some of those guys are with their sisters. So great for them to be able to experience it as well.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody watching the show. It looks like a fair amount of you guys watch. We always appreciate everybody checking in with us at this point, especially for this game coming up tonight against San Jose. The Jets will be taking on Anaheim tomorrow, so we'll be back at 12:30 with that one. Who knows what we'll have as guests, but it'll be somebody good. Are you working on something?
I am working. I'm working on a few.
Okay.
We'll see.
You're going to name drop right now or no? Okay.
No,
tune in tomorrow. That is called a segue, everybody.
Hey, it's a teaser.
Teaser, that's the one.
It's a teaser, not a segue.
Yeah.
It's a teaser.
Right.
But that's okay. Maybe by tomorrow.
Just go take your cough medicine.
You know what? Go have some more coffee, okay? It's a 9:30 start tonight. The game is on TSN. Enjoy it, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for checking in with us today.